anybody who's watching this is probably a wrestling, a freestyle or a folk style wrestling fan. We all know what wrestling practice is like, right? But what is the other, pro wrestling? But I'm sure there's not a practice where a team comes together, but there has to be a
Yeah.
skill sharpening, a learning new skills session somewhere. What is, I guess, training or practice or however you want to classify or categorize that? What's that like? Is it scheduled? Is it one on one? Are there coaches? Like,
No, it's just like going through sorry. It's just going through like a regular wrestling practice. You first when you get there, you got to learn how to take bumps. You got to learn how to fall on your back, and a lot of people don't learn how to do that. So that's a big part of the WWE business is learning how to land the right way and protecting your opponent and protecting yourself too. So it's you got a ring, and there's six rings at the maybe 6 to 8 rings at the performance center, and you go out there and you have a coach for each class, and whatever you line up or wherever the head coach puts you at, you go to that class, and he works you out, and you're there for the process.
what is that like? And I'll have a similar question probably for football, but like, you're at the top of the heap in freestyle and folk style wrestling, and now you're learning a lot of new things, right? And kind of maybe starting from scratch. What was that experience like trying to learn the new skills from pro wrestling?
I think just overall the experience was great. Just going from the top to going back to the bottom is definitely a hard thing for a lot of people, and it's definitely a hard thing for me. And I would say that out loud too. Looking back on it, just you got to take things the right way and do everything in the right direction. And from wrestling standpoint, I didn't become an Olympic champion in 3 weeks. I became an Olympic champion my whole life, and you got to want and you got to believe in yourself. And I definitely still believe myself wholeheartedly to this day. But I think with everything, you just got to. It's going to be a time battle.
Sure. Uh, what were some of the more challenging parts of either learning the skills or being on the mic or anything all encompassing, part of that sport, entertainment, whatever you want to call it?
I think the most challenging part was just finding out who Gable was outside of wrestling, because you go from a dominant and don't get me wrong, I'm still dominant. So you go from a dominant thing to having to reset yourself and find out who you are internally. And I've never been a guy that has been open about who I am as a person, and I've been a guy that's been open about being fun and entertaining and going out there and doing the backflips for the crowd. But I've never been a guy that has like spoken about myself in a manner that requires that. So that was definitely a tough challenge. And as the time went on, was definitely gravitating to it.